Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words, become much more articulate. In today's episode, we're entering the world of social skills along with emotional intelligence, and we're going to be talking about how propaganda spreads. First of all, let's make sure we understand what propaganda means. So we're going to go with the good old trusted Google. On Google, propaganda is defined as information, especially of biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. Now, normally when we're thinking of propaganda, we are predominantly thinking of something that happens in politics, or more specifically, something that happens with adults. Kids can't be affected by propaganda, right? Incorrect. Kids can especially be affected by propaganda. And the more that you understand the perspective from the kids' point of view, you'll realize that kids and adults at a fundamental level are not that different. Allow me to give you an example. There was a certain phase in my life where I noticed something strange going on. I noticed that a lot of people were ditching their belts. Rather than wearing belts, what they would do was they would wear these baggy pants. Without the belts, the pants were sagging, and they would use one hand to pick up those sagging pants. And instead of walking, they would waddle. I'm looking at these guys and I'm thinking, these guys are weirdos, right? But that was not the perception. These guys that were waddling with their pants sagging below their butt crack were seen as cool. If others couldn't see your boxers, then you were not cool in my school. And it came to a certain point where me, a kid named Darren, a kid named a few other kids, one guy I remember named Alex, who were being painted as the uncool individuals. Because what happened with us was that we still had the belts. We had to keep the belts, especially because all of our parents, if they saw us sagging our pants like that, they'd ground us or maybe worse. But it got to a point where more and more kids were adopting this movement. And eventually, one day, one of my good friends, Rodkey, who had just recently adopted ditching his belt to sag his pants, pulled me aside and he's like, Armani, you should think about doing this as well. Because, like, look at you, man. You look like a square. You need to get rid of this belt. And I asked him, for what reason? If Rodkey could give me an intellectual reason as to why to ditch the belt, then there was a likelihood that I was going to do it. And Rodkey starts to get his George Washington on. He starts to give me this rah-rah speech. He's like, look, man, the belt, it's a way to conform you into society's standards. When you get rid of the belt, it's just edgier, man. It allows you to go outside of the norms. And Rodkey was such a powerful speaker where I thought, all right, Rodkey, you have a point. So the next day, I say bye to my parents. I'm wearing my belt. But by the time I go into the school bus, I take off the belt. I put it in my bag. And now I am a part of the Sag Your Pants movement. For the next couple of days, it was difficult to say the least, because when you're sagging your pants like that, in many ways, you're reconditioning your nervous system. Or when you have a belt, you're just walking. Now, you don't have to worry about anything else. But when you don't have a belt and you're wearing excessively large pants, you have to remind yourself, hey, dummy, don't forget to grab it up, all right? But grab it in a way where it's not giving you a wedgie. Because if you're getting a wedgie and you're walking, it's not going to feel good. And you're not going to be walking for long. Adjust it like this. No. Adjust it like that. And you're doing this for a couple of days, just getting adjusted. And every now and then, you forget. So what happens is you stand up and the pants fall straight on down and your boxers are showing. I'm thinking, this is going to be some work. But I was willing to put in that work because there were other kids now that were saying, "Yo, Armani, you look really cool." When I heard that, "You look really cool," it just made me want to put in the effort to recondition my nervous system. But when I was getting the treatment of "Armani, you look cool," my prior friends, Alex, he was getting the opposite treatment. One day, there was this one guy that came aggressively at Alex, and Alex had his pants on where it was supposed to be. And this aggressive guy came to Alex and said, "Man, boy, lower your pants a little, man. Come on, dude." And he just left. And the guy came so aggressively that Alex was shook. He wasn't used to being treated as the uncool individual, but now he was. He looked at me sagging my pants. For a second, he thought about it, but then he said, "Nah, I'm going to keep my belt." More time is going on by, and eventually, one day what happens is that I see something. I see the guy, Rodkey, who initially got me into this whole movement. He's transferring. He's going to another school. And by the time he's going to another school, what happens is that he tells a lot of his cool friends bye, but he doesn't tell me bye. And I'm thinking, here is this guy who got me to make such a big life change, but he doesn't even view me in that same importance to say bye to me. That thought was in my mind. More time goes on by, and eventually what happens one day is that I'm in front of the mirror, and I notice something. As I'm looking in the mirror, I see a straight up buffoon. I mean, here I am, over here holding my pants up when there's a perfectly functioning belt in my bag, and I'm not using it. For what reason? To get the approval of a guy like Rodkey, who can't even say bye when he transfers schools? To get the approval of a bunch of faces that I don't even know? All for what? For no reason at all. That's when I go in my backpack, I get the belt, and I put it on. My belt, it missed my pants, and I didn't look back. A couple of years goes on by, and eventually I learned something new. I learned that this whole sag your pants movement, it didn't start because people were trying not to conform. This style started in prison. A lot of people that get sentenced to life in prison, they do a thing called turning, which means that they know that they're never going to see another woman again. So they turn gay. And a lot of these guys turn gay because they feel as though it's the thing to do that will keep them safe. They're known as a princess to a king, apparently. These are jail lingo. And one of these guys, let's say he is new to prison and he doesn't have a crew to roll with, a lot of these guys will sag their pants. They'll take their belt off, sag their pants to let other veteran prison members know that they're open to getting sexually assaulted. I'm thinking, this is where the whole sag your pants movement came from? And I'm looking back at all these kids who said that this was cool. This cool idea was based on a lie. And we just fell for it. That is how propaganda spreads. Propaganda spreads in a very peculiar sort of way. You could get something that is a straight up lie, but if you can convince a decent enough people that this is cool, and the phrase cool can always be interchanged with something else. Just for kids, cool is the staple of success. So if enough Rodkeys can serve as promoters for, hey, this is cool, and eventually the recruiters are successfully able to sell people on this false idea, then the propaganda is picking up some steam. But it doesn't really pick up some steam until you have guys like Alex, the uncool people. If you don't have a certain group where you could say, these guys, they're wearing a belt, they're uncool, then the propaganda cannot fully spread. This works with kids, and this works with adults as well, which is fascinating to notice. So the way that propaganda spreads is that it starts off with an idea that may be true, may be false. It doesn't matter if it's with politics, if it's with your local club that you're just, let's say it's your homeowners association. It doesn't matter. Same principles apply. It could be an idea, and then that idea needs enough recruitment activities to create a circle that represents the cool squad. And just having a cool squad is not enough. You also need an uncool squad. Once the cool squad and the uncool squad have been established, that's when the propaganda begins to take up life. This is quite fascinating for me nowadays because looking back at a younger Armani, I'm like, so you were easily sold on propaganda of one of the most silliest things out there. You were literally putting in work to look like an idiot. So what's your adult self capable of? What's a lot of other people's adult selves capable of? You'll be surprised by that answer. You'll be surprised how many people fall for propaganda that they're like, I'd never fall for that. It's too late. You are already falling for something. So you want to take some time after this episode to be like, am I in the cool squad or am I in the uncool squad? Think about that. If you enjoyed today's talk and you want to learn more about psychology, the dark parts of human nature, propaganda, and much more, be sure to stay subscribed to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. In this channel, I am dropping consistent content on public speaking, social skills, emotional resilience, and much more. Join the tribe by hitting that subscribe button right on below. Hit that bell notification and never miss another video again. Thank you very much for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you next time.